Lisa wiped the sweat off her brow as she balanced a tray of drinks. The diner was packed, and her feet ached from the double shift she'd been pulling, but rent was due and there was no room for complaints. However, her mind drifted when she noticed an elderly man sitting alone by the window. His hands trembled as he flipped through the menu, pausing every few seconds. She could see the pause in his breath at every page he flipped to. His clothes were old but neatly pressed, his shoes worn but polished. He wasn't just reading the menu, he was debating with himself. Lisa had seen this before. Several people had visited the diner before with such an attitude, so she knew what was happening. The man was hungry but didn't have enough money to eat. Her chest tightened. She couldn't just walk away. Taking a deep breath, Lisa walked to the kitchen and whispered to the cook, "Make him whatever he wants. I'll pay for it." Minutes later, she carefully placed a steaming plate of food in front of the man. "This one's on me," she said softly, giving him a warm smile. The man's eyes shone with tears. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out at first. Finally, in a shaky voice, he whispered, "Thank you." "You don't know what this means to me?" Lisa's heart swelled. But just as she turned away, a loud voice cut through the moment like a knife. "Lisa!" She froze. Her boss stormed toward her, his face twisted in anger. "Did you just give away free food?" Lisa swallowed hard. I just thought, you don't get to think. You're fired." Silence fell over the diner. Lisa's throat tightened as humiliation and shock washed over her. She looked around, noticing that everyone was watching, some whispering, others looking away. Her hands trembled as she grabbed her apron and untied it. The veteran stared at her with pain in his eyes, as if he knew this was his fault, even though Lisa would never think that. At this point, she didn't know whether to plead with her boss or hold her head high and walk away for doing the right thing. She went with the latter. She forced a smile at him before walking toward the door, her vision blurred with tears. As she stepped outside, cold air hit her face, but the ache in her chest burned hotter. She had done the right thing. So why did it feel like the biggest mistake of her life? What Lisa didn't know was that her story was just beginning. Lisa's feet carried her to the park where she sat hugging her arms against the evening chill. Her hands still smelled like coffee and pancakes from the diner, but she no longer had a job. Her boss's angry words still rang in her ears. "You're fired." She had always tried to be a good person, so why did it feel like she had ruined her own life? Her phone buzzed. A message from her best friend, Mia. "Mia, I heard what happened. Are you okay?" Lisa stared at the screen. No, she wasn't okay. But she didn't want to say that. Before she could reply, another notification popped up, this time from someone she barely knew. "Saw what you did? Stealing from your boss? That's low." Lisa's stomach twisted. People were talking about her, and not in a good way. She opened social media and saw a post from the diner's page. "We do not tolerate theft." Rules are rules. The comments were filled with strangers arguing. Some people called her a kind soul, while others said she deserved it. Business is business. Lisa turned off her phone and buried her face in her hands. She wondered if a colleague of hers took a picture of her while her boss was speaking to her. And most importantly, who was selling the narrative of stealing? She had done something good. She knew that. But right now, it didn't feel like it. She had no job, no money, and no idea what to do next. And worst of all, she wasn't sure if she had made a mistake. Lisa stayed in bed the next morning, staring at the ceiling. She had no job, no money. And now, strangers on the internet were calling her names. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. With a sigh, she grabbed it. 50 new messages. Her heart pounded as she opened the first one. "Saw what you did for that veteran. You have a good heart." Lisa blinked. She scrolled down. "You didn't deserve to be fired. That was unfair." She sat up. Where was this coming from? Then she saw it. A video. Someone had filmed her giving the veteran free food. The clip showed her smiling as she placed the plate in front of him. Then it cut to her boss yelling at her. The caption read, "She was fired for being kind." "Do you think this is right?" Lisa's hands shook as she checked the views. 10,000. Her breath caught. 20,000. 50,000. More comments poured in. Some people were angry at her boss. Others wanted to help. Then a message popped up from a name she didn't recognize. Hi, Lisa. I'm a journalist. I'd love to share your story. Her heart raced. Was this really happening? Just as she started to feel a spark of hope, another message came through. Her boss. Take that video down. You won't get another job in this town if you don't. Lisa swallowed hard. The world was finally on her side, but her troubles weren't over yet. Lisa could barely keep up. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Every time she refreshed the video, the numbers jumped higher. 100,000 views. Then 500,000. Now it had over 1 million. She scrolled through the comments. She did the right thing. That boss should be ashamed. Firing someone for kindness? Disgusting. Then she saw a name she recognized. A famous actress had shared the video. She wrote, Lisa, if you see this, don't let anyone dim your light. The world needs more people like you. Lisa covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. Her kindness had mattered. People cared. Then another message appeared. Hey, Lisa, we saw what happened. We'd love to offer you a job at our cafe. She stared at the screen, hands shaking. A new job. Just like that. But not everyone was happy. A news station ran the story, calling out her boss's cruelty. Reporters showed up at the diner, asking him questions. Why did you fire Lisa? At first, he ignored them. Then, he tried to defend himself. Rules are rules. If I let one person give away free food, where does it stop? People didn't buy it. The diner's reviews plummeted. Customers stopped coming. Then, something Lisa never expected happened. Her boss called her. His voice was quieter than before. Lisa, maybe we acted too fast. If you want, you can have your job back. Lisa's heart pounded. Did he really mean it? Or was he just scared of losing business? She took a deep breath. This time, she had the power to choose. That night, Lisa sat by the window of her tiny apartment, staring at the city lights. So much had changed in just a few hours. She had a new job offer. People all over the world were talking about her kindness. Even her old boss had begged her to come back. But something still felt unfinished. She thought about the veteran, the man she had given free food to. Where was he now? How was he doing? And just then, a soft knock on her door made her jump. When she opened it, her heart nearly stopped. It was him, the same veteran she had helped. But this time, he looked different. His clothes were neater, his eyes brighter, and he wasn't alone. Beside him stood a well-dressed man with silver hair and kind eyes. Lisa, the veteran said, smiling, I wanted you to meet someone. The older man stepped forward. I saw your story, he said. And I need people like you. Lisa frowned. People like me? Wait, first, how did you get my address? Lisa asked. We went back to your ex-boss and he was kind enough to give us your address despite everything that happened. The man said. He went further to explain his purpose of coming. I run an organization that helps veterans get back on their feet. We provide food, jobs, and housing. But what we really need is someone with a heart like yours, he said. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. Was this really happening? The veteran smiled. I told him what you did for me, and he wants to offer you something bigger than just a job. Also, I heard the internet is talking about you. The older man reached into his pocket and handed Lisa a piece of paper. Her hands trembled as she read it. A full-time position, a chance to help people every day, a fresh start, and she will still be paid doing what she loves. Tears filled her eyes. She had lost everything for doing what was right. And now, that same kindness was giving her more than she had ever dreamed. Lisa looked up, her voice shaky. When do I start? The veteran grinned. Right now. As they left, Lisa couldn't contain her joy anymore. She squealed, jumped on the bed, and laid down with a relaxed mind. The next day, she went to see her ex-boss. While she has gotten a better offer, she needed to let go of the resentment she had for him. Lisa stood outside the diner, her heart pounding. She never thought she'd come back here. The place looked different now. No customers, empty tables, a help wanted sign hung in the window. Her hands clenched into fists. This was the same place that threw her away for being kind. She could just walk away. She had a new job, a new purpose. But something inside her told her she needed to face this. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. Her old boss stood behind the counter. When he saw her, his face went pale. Lisa, he muttered. She could see the stress on his face. The bad press, the angry customers, it had all taken a toll. For a moment, she wanted to be angry, to tell him he deserved it. But instead, she just sighed. I didn't come to fight, she said softly. I just wanted you to know. I don't regret what I did. Her boss swallowed hard. I lost a lot because of this, he admitted. Business is down. People don't trust me anymore. Lisa looked around at the empty diner. She should have felt happy, but instead she just felt sad. I hope you learned something from all this, she said. People want kindness. They respect it. He nodded slowly, looking down. I did, he said. And I'm sorry, Lisa. Lisa didn't say anything for a moment. Then she gave a small nod. She turned to leave, but before she stepped out, she said one last thing. I hope you get a second chance, too. As she walked away, she felt lighter. She wasn't looking back anymore. She had a future full of possibilities. And all because she chose kindness, even when it was hard.